senators and get your answer. Okay, you can see this. But first of all,
Yes.
before I even address some of the things I'm working on, I too want to share a little bit about similar to what Senator Amabile was sharing. We Many of us are heart sick down here, and I too got up at 4:30 this morning, and that one thing that I refuse to do is fall into despair, where you lose hope. Um, I didn't get elected to lose hope. So I was pleased to be able to be with Congressman Neguse last Friday. I don't know how many of you were able to make it to the YMCA. I know it was kind of capped on how many people could get there, but he also shared a little piece of hope as well and reminded us that we all still have agency, we all still have a voice. The thousands of people that have been down here all day, I think going on 8 hours now at the Capitol, inspire me that people are not afraid to come out and use their voices. And so I will encourage you to do that too. I had read a thing from, I think it was the CEA, the Colorado Education Association, that said, we are stronger than fear. We can be louder than their lies. And we are, what's the third thing? More powerful than hate. So I'm going to remember those three things too, and to realize that even when I might have times where I feel helpless, there are things that I can do. And so, thank you all for spending time on this night here. I am carrying right now about 18 bills, believe it or not. We have so many new legislators. Many of them I've gotten to know pretty quickly, are wonderful. But what's nice about some of us a little more experienced legislators is we get to be on their bills as a prime sponsor and help them. And so that is an honor for me. But you might hear from Representative Brown a little bit later as well. He and I spent a pretty awful afternoon, honestly, in Health and Human Services, defending the rights of Coloradans to access gender affirming care for their kids. It was painful, hurtful, hateful. This is why majorities matter. Is we had enough votes on that committee to vote that bill down, but I think he and I are probably a little exhausted and beat up from that committee hearing. So what I am working on, I'll just quickly go through these six bills or eight, I can't count. I'm working on updating the death certificate here in our state with Rocky Mountain Equality to make sure that people, when they die, that their gender marker will match their gender. So we need to get that updated so that our official documents here in Colorado, from birth certificate to driver's license to death certificate, follow that person's gender accurately. We're bringing a ground ambulance billing reform bill to make sure that consumer protections and balanced billing on ambulance services won't happen anymore in our state. We've been working on this for a couple of years now. This is really going to be kind of close one more loophole for making sure that people aren't getting bills for ambulance services when they have health insurance that should cover that. We're also working on another set of reproductive health protection bills here in our state. One of them is to solidify and expand the shield protection against our providers, not only providers, but clinics, pharmacists, the whole gamut, so that if a state tries to subpoena one of our providers here in our state, that we have the means to make them prove what they're coming after. And if it has anything to do with legally protective healthcare services in our state, they're going to need to turn around and go home. but we're also putting in there that we have the option to countersue because we do want to have a chilling effect on any state that's going to try to come after our citizens or our providers. You all have heard probably so much about our analysis of payer single payment system for healthcare. We're going to get it done this year. And so make sure that the School of Public Health gets us that complete analysis so we have the information we need to know if indeed Colorado can set up a single payment system for everyone in our state to get healthcare. Working on some natural resources bills, as you see there at the bottom, to further conserve water, protect our land, make sure our water stays clean. And also, we have a profession in our state that is not licensed, and they are licensed, but they're not regulated under DORA, and they want to be. This is another consumer protection bill. We have folks in our state that are giving out nutrition advice, but they're not licensed dietitians. And consumers are getting confused and sometimes hurt by that. And we need to make sure that licensed dietitians are known and regulated, and to make sure that the public know when they go to a particular person for advice for any health condition that they're seeing somebody that's licensed and regulated. I have no idea how long I've been talking, so I better stop and see if there are questions.
Thanks. I've got a question for you, Representative McCormick. People are interested in what went on at the Capitol today. How many people showed up, and you say they're still around, and just the general feel of things.
Yeah. Well, as I happened to have gotten I think it was an Instagram post that flew by about 50 states, 50 capitals, and I threw it on my Instagram page. Please follow me on Instagram, by the way. And then, so I posted it, and I thought, well, I wonder if anybody's going to show up, because it was like this brief thing that went by. I'm telling you, but 11:30 this morning, there started to be a crowd. By noon, 12:15, there were hundreds of thousands of people out there, and they've been there all day. They were all over the west side of the Capitol. They spilled onto Lincoln Street. They had to shut down streets. They spilled over onto Broadway and the park there. They were marching around and around and around the Capitol for hours, chanting. They had speakers. I couldn't get out there. Just so inspiring and it was peaceful. They rerouted traffic. The cops, or the CSP, Colorado State Patrol, had the whole thing under control. Just so inspiring. I'm telling you that something organic like that, and I'd love to be able to see the news of what happened across the nation. So if any of you all saw the news and can report back to me, I'd love to know what happened in other state capitals.
Yeah,
but they were protesting everything. They were protesting everything.
Everything, Trump and Musk and everything. But it was 50. It was called the 50-51 nationwide march. 50 states, 50 protests one day. And what was crazy about it is that it was so organic. It was really hard to tell who was organizing it, and to make sure that people would be safe and all of that kind of stuff. And so it came up quick, and it sounds like it was a great success. So I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And it's supposed to last until 8 p.m. because they wanted to give people a chance to go to it if they were working during the day, which I thought was also
thank you
really
for
cool.
that. I just thought they're just really hanging in there. I'm like, I'm so impressed.
Yeah, and I think the reason why they really hung in is because they had speakers. So they must have had a sound system. Yeah,
they do. They have a sound system. Everybody had so many flags, different countries' flags, and our country's flag, and so many great signs like we see often at protests. But the signs had to do with everything you can think of. Like, it wasn't just LGBTQ rights or just immigrant rights. It was everything. So super inspiring. And I don't care if we do this every single day for 4 years. It's great.
Well, and the people who put it together that, like, for instance, got the permit, made sure to bring speakers, and maybe it's just a question of them contacting State Patrol before the event and just keep doing it like every couple months or however long, whenever there's another
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
which is
I
daily.
see Stan and Beth have their hand raised. Or actually, I see a bunch of hands. Somebody else call on people.
Ingrid, I think Ingrid's hand was up first.
Okay. Hi, Karen. I want to, first of all, thank you for your vote today
Oh my
in
gosh.
committee and for sitting through that. It was hideous. And then I just want to make a comment that everyone can hear. Um, from Ruth Ben Gitt and Timothy Snyder, they say that an authoritarian regime's weakest moments are at the beginning and at the end. So we're at the beginning, they're at their weakest. So we have our marching orders. That's all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ingrid. Stan or Beth?
Yeah. Hey, Rep. McCormick, thanks for being on. This is a more general question. I don't expect you to have specifics, but what I'm wondering is with Musk having broken into all of that humongous database of people who are owed federal money, are there any ways, and if that database disappears, I don't even want to think. Are there ways the state can preserve their own records of who's Medicare, who's Social Security, who's Medicaid, all those kinds of things so that they can be easily rebuilt if they have to be?
Thank you, Beth. And I know Senator Amabile touched on this. I do believe, our database here for our Medicaid patients, members here in Colorado through healthcare policy and financing, we have our own department that covers all of those people, that's separate from the federal database. So we still have our own that's separate, and we are making sure that our systems are protected, that they're not, they're linked in one respect because they have to be for funding. But as far as people's personal information, we do have a whole system of technology experts that are making sure that we don't have any holes, I guess. But I feel pretty secure that our state's data is going to stay safe. It's just our inability to get that critical funding, that we really don't know what would happen. But then if that were to happen across the nation, I think you'd see way more than thousands of people protesting. It would be, yeah. But thank you for the question. It is really important that we protect our own data. And I on that same note, well, let's go to Karen before we run out of time. I'll stop talking.
Hi, Karen. Thank you for your time tonight. Real quick on your environmental bills, with the drill baby drill, little verbiage going on. Are there protections for our Colorado parks and land so that the wonderful thing about Colorado won't be destroyed?
Yes. Again, luckily we have all the branches of government here. We have the governor, the Senate, and the House. We have Department of Natural Resources, State Land Board, all focused on maintaining the Colorado we know and love, from our lands to our water to our air. So absolutely, and every chance we can, we further those protections, and increase access for the people of Colorado to use these wonderful natural resources. So yes, these are the values that are important to all Coloradans, and we want to keep Colorado.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. We have
Thank
time
you.
for one more question for Representative McCormick. Hazel?
Yeah, thank you, Representative, for being here. It's an honor to be here as well. I was wondering about the Perkins Water Compact between Nebraska and Colorado, and what is the status of it at this point, or is it more of a federal issue?
Yeah, good for you, Hazel. You're getting in the weeds on water law. For those of you that don't know, the Perkins Canal was an agreement that was made probably 100 years ago with Nebraska and sharing water on the South Platte River that we owe Nebraska so much water. There's been controversy about they're not getting all their water. They have threatened to come build this canal often, but now they're going to the next step. They've gone into the planning stage, and this is a canal that Nebraska is going to build in Colorado. So it's really incredibly controversial. Our Attorney General's office is looking at options, and the people in the area certainly are trying to work through this and try to come up with a solution that won't involve building the canal. But really good question. We just kind of got that update last week, so I'll keep you posted. Water law is complicated, and some of these agreements go so far back that our climate and water use today don't match what was happening 100 years ago. So it's difficult.
Thank you, Hazel, and thank you, Representative McCormick. Your time is up.